Live from Los Angeles, welcome back to Good Morning La Land. We are talking about spending time, talent, and treasure on things that you love. And it's super important for all of us to spend time with intimacy with people that we love. And so we have an expert here, an amazing, extraordinary, conscious woman, Marla Mattinson, in the house. She is an intimacy expert for high-achieving experts, because entrepreneurs and things, so many of us get so busy all the time that we start to have that part of our life slip. I know I do it all the time. So I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to be here.
So what does it mean to be an intimacy expert?
Well, first, the word intimacy is a little unsettling for people. Some people think it just means sex. Some people think it means how you connect with people. So we really need to just sort of define intimacy first. But really, it's the connection underneath every interaction that you have. So you can have an intimate interaction with your banker, right? If you're actually connected through the glass. But right, if you actually want to connect deeper with someone, you can feel if someone really cares about what you're saying or not. So if you start to care more about who is this person, what are they saying, what's important to them, and you just pause just a little bit throughout your day to connect with someone, that's creating intimacy.
But wait. Most people don't hire you to get closer with their banker.
No, they don't.
I might.
Although we do increase income by working together, so they will visit their banker more often.
So why are most people hiring you for intimacy?
Yeah, most people are hiring me for intimacy because when you can have a deeply intimate, meaning honest, open, vulnerable relationship at home with your partner, I specialize in working with couples, then everything blossoms from there. So anything you can't say to your partner means you're going to shut off just a little piece of yourself throughout the day. Because if you can't say it with your partner at home and be completely honest with your partner, then when you go out into the world, there's this little part of you that you're keeping hidden and off to the side. And this is true about even if you're not in a relationship. If you have some shame or guilt or something that you want to hide from the world, then you're not shining as bright as you possibly can. So to teach how to actually be as open and honest and vulnerable in relationship at home, it opens up the channels for wealth. It opens up the channels for love.
Your mojo turns to money.
Exactly.
Which sounds very tempting, but there's something to be said about mystery, isn't there? Because I've always been taught that within relationships, maybe not being fully open and wholly vulnerable, especially in the beginning, it's better to have a little bit of mystery.
Okay.
Not because there's guilt or shame around something, but why should I tell you everything?
I love that. Okay, so this is a different type of energetic. So mystery can be expressed through novelty, through doing different new things together that you're aware of because you're planning it, but your partner's not. That's an intrigue and mystery that develops more
So you're telling
juiciness.
me I shouldn't be a mystery.
So if you're a mystery, exactly.
I've been doing this wrong the whole time.
If you're the mystery, then you're essentially forcing your partner to have to figure you out.
Yes.
And they will probably get it wrong.
Every time.
Right. Okay, so that means that you're sending them on a wild goose chase to try to find you. And if you know who you are, which I think you do, if you know who you are, then you want to just vulnerably reveal all that. So you don't have to go through all the drama and chaos of relationship. You can skip all that. You could just go, there's plenty of drama and chaos in revealing who you really are. You don't need to create it at all. Mysteriousness and having an open relationship with yourself and your partner really is more like throwing a bomb in the mix that's going to go off at some point, rather than
Sorry for the bomb.
sorry for the bombs.
Take
And we
cover.
all kind of do it because we hide from ourselves also, right? Unintentionally.
So I've heard, and I don't have the stats in front of me, but I've heard that if your intimate area of your life is good, it actually helps your business. Like there's a correlation they found, like literally your mojo equals more money.
Yes. So, I mean, you can just logically think about it, right? If you wake up every day and you feel happy and you feel pleasure flowing through your body and you feel like, things are great at home, I'm going to go crush it out there. Nothing can stop me. And you really feel like whole and complete on your own. You've got your pleasure flowing through your body, and then you're on purpose. And this is about growth-based relationships. So this is not for people who want to kind of hide out and be in the drama. It's really for people who want to grow into the best version of themselves every day and do it either by themselves or with a partner.
I love this. So there is a difference then in terms of the intimacy between coming from a place of sort of need and desperation versus coming from a place where you're accustomed to like self-soothing and you're emotionally regulated and you're connecting from that space and place. So how can a person do that? Because I think often we think of intimacy and often it feels very sort of need-driven and desperate.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So I hate this word kind of authentic, but you want to be authentic because it kind of can mean so many different things, but in the moment. So let's say if Julian, who's my business love and life partner, if he does something that annoys me, which happens from time to time. Okay?
He's amazing. Big shout out to Julian.
Okay,
We love
huge
him.
shout out to
Yes,
Julian.
amazing.
Yes, and he knows how to handle me. If he does something that annoys me, I can do one of two things with it. I can either sort of stuff it for another time, or I can bring it to the surface with a lot of love and support for me and for feeling annoyed, and also for him and filled with compassion. So I can either not share it or I can share it. How I share it matters. So I can either attack, which is not,
Doesn't generally work.
doesn't genuinely, right?
Right.
And sometimes we do it unconsciously. So it's not about being perfect. It's about catching yourself sooner and sooner when you do want to attack. And so instead, you want to just share vulnerably and say, hey, I just got to share with you. I'm feeling really activated by what just happened. And I'd love to know a little bit more about why you chose to do this, because I'm making up a whole story around why you chose to do it and I'm annoyed by it.
Right.
Right. So that's the vulnerable share.
So let's talk a little bit more about real intimacy, because Jazz and I met you at this beautiful dinner over at the farm with, I want to give a shout out to Chris Winfield and Jen Gottlieb, who brought a bunch of influencers together, and everyone kind of went around and said a bunch of stuff. And at the end, you were one of the last people to talk, and you spoke a bit about actually intimacy and revving up, tell me if I'm saying it wrong, but really revving up through pleasure
Yes.
and through maybe even orgasm.
Yes.
And I was like, I'll have what she's
Right.
having over there, right? And we immediately clicked.
Yes.
I love your work and your energy and everything you guys are up to. But tell us how that intimacy and real pleasure how do you help people in that area?
Right. Well, anyone who's an expert in any field, if they're not doing the work themselves, then they're probably not an expert. There's 3 different ways to be an expert. You can be a research-based expert, where you researched it. You can be an experiential-based expert, or you can be a straight-up channeler, right? Where you're just straight up channeling, right? I'm all 3, right? I've researched, I am experiential, and also I straight-up channel. So if you want to learn more about pleasure and how to experience pleasure and intimacy in your body, you want to talk to somebody who's actually practicing it. And so what does that mean? I realized for me that I was trying to contain the amount of pleasure that I could receive. And I didn't even realize how deeply ingrained that was. Like, don't be too big and too bold and too much for people, and how that impacted in the bedroom. And I'm pretty free and open in the bedroom, but even just very recently, Julian and I found another way in for pleasure, and he helped me increase your capacity to receive, Marla, is what he said. So when we're intimate, increase your capacity to receive. And what that means is, because so much sensation running through your body can be uncomfortable. This is why people don't up level to the next place in their life also in business, is because it's uncomfortable. It's physically uncomfortable. It's mentally uncomfortable. It's emotionally uncomfortable. And when all 3 of those things are happening at the same time in the bedroom, usually people kind of shut down a little bit or go a little unconscious. And instead, if you lean into it, like Pema Chodron talks about leaning into the sharp edges. You lean in and then you realize, oh, all of that fear, all of that containment was really just a hologram for me. I can just expand to the capacity of the universe.
It sounds really woo-woo.
It's super woo.
And you really are a highly, highly educated woman.
Yes.
You have so much to bring to the table. And it's kind of almost like get it in concept, and you have glimpses of, pure pleasure and receiving and all this stuff. But like, I got to get moving in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have hours to like hang out and have intimate. Like, we live in a very fast-paced world.
Okay, well, let's talk about the practicality of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so my background is in mathematics and neuroscience. Okay, so yes, I got a ton of woo, but I'm also very, very researched. This is what I love. So here's what's happening on a daily basis, right? We are listening to a very archaic system inside of us. Our fight, flight, or freeze response. We're listening to that, and it's driving us every day. We're also listening to our 5 senses, which, as you know, are limited. the visible spectrum of light and what humans can see is a very small portion of that. Our hearing, the hearing spectrum, what sounds can be heard and what humans can hear, very small. So, and temperature, right? You'll burn or you'll freeze. So all of our five senses are lying to us every day, all day long. And when we get activated, well, here we go. Let's go down the rabbit hole. You know, right? And so we're making our choices and our decisions based on lies, based on partial information. And we also know memory is also a big lie. I don't know if you've been watching The Mind Explained recently, but on Netflix, they've got this great special. It's mind blowing because our memory is also not true. You remember things, complete memory, and it's not really true. So why do we get so upset about things? Why do we allow ourselves to get upset by our partner or by anyone or by any circumstance? It's because we're trained to just listen to that fight, flight, or freeze response. And then we have our natural family lineage patterns that we were gifted. Oh, here's how you respond in a conflict. Oh, here's how you respond with intimacy. What did your parents teach you about pleasure? Consciously or unconsciously? That's what you're doing. That's what you're acting out in the pleasure realm in your relationship now. Wow. Sorry to break that to everybody. And there's something you can do about it, right? So what happens? So we're still human, right? So that means you're going to have your responses. They're going to happen. And how quickly you come out of that habitual pattern of the fight or the freeze response. And then how you can lessen that intensity. Those are the only things that matter. How fast can you pivot and realize, oh my gosh, I went down a negative path, right? And this is what you teach all day long. This is what this whole show is about, is how do you come out of the negativity and live a genuine positive life?
It's so beautiful, but I love your specific expression of it and working with these high-level entrepreneurs. They're making 6-7 figures, and yet they're not actually having pleasure. So, like, what's the point? You know, it's just a rat race. And so I'm so glad that you've touched so many people's lives and keep up the amazing work. How do people work with you? Do they work one-on-one? Do they come to group things? How do they find you? You're also a speaker.
Yes.
And a writer.
Yes.
You've written for all kinds of places, right?
I've written for all kinds of places. I had a relationship column on entrepreneur.com for a while. I read a lot of articles. I get quoted in a lot of things. And on the Intimacy Experts on Instagram is the best place to follow us and get all the good, juicy information. And my website, marlamanson.com, people can find me to work with me privately. I don't do any group programs anymore. We do something really fun called the Exploratorium, which is a 2-day in-person for one couple at a time in our private home in Venice. And it's exploring your family lineage patterns around pleasure and joy and coming through it just totally amplified and sexy together as a couple.
That sounds intimidating. Just
I know it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. But those
You first, Sarah. You first.
Instagram.
Yeah, start with
See what
Instagram.
happens. Thank you so much, Marla. We
Thank
appreciate you.
you.
Stay tuned. We'll be back for more on Good Morning La La Land.